We told you yesterday the IRS is again extending the federal tax filing deadline from April 15th to May 17th. Gilmore Jason Mahler, CPA Charlie Hyde is here to give us the latest on that and some important information for anyone who collected unemployment in 2020. Good morning, Charlie. There's a lot of ground to cover this morning.
There is a lot of ground, so we better jump into it. Otherwise, we will run out of time.
Right, but it's important information for folks. Some people who have already filed their taxes might want to go back and make some amendments.
Yeah, so let's start with, we had the American Rescue Plan, which was signed into law on March 11th by President Biden. And in that plan, one of the items is for individuals who received unemployment compensation in 2020. The first $10,200 of that is excluded from taxable income for federal purposes. So that could be, for a lot of people, very important. But here's the key, is a lot of people have already filed their, tax returns because they were expecting refunds, and they included their unemployment compensation up, and let's say they had under $10,200, they paid tax on that.
Sure.
Well, now with the American Rescue Plan, that's tax-free for 2020. So what do you do? Well, the IRS is definitely saying you should amend your return, but they're saying don't send them in right now. Let us figure out how we're going to handle this. And I agree with that. Sending an amended return in right now is just going to confuse things and slow down getting your money back. But it's one of those things that's one of the reasons the IRS pushed the deadline back, is because there were things in this bill that will impact the 2020 return, of which a lot of people had already filed, and now they're going to have to amend returns, and that's just going to create more delays within the IRS.
Sure. So at this point, wait a minute before you amend and see what the IRS says, give some guidance, and then you can go back in and do that.
Exactly. But one item on unemployment I think everyone needs to know. Ohio has experienced a huge amount of unemployment fraud, where people have been filing, the scammers have filed unemployment claims with the state of Ohio for individuals who never filed for unemployment. And what we're seeing from our clients is they're coming in with the 1099-G reporting unemployment to this individual, and they never filed for it.
Right.
So if that happens to you, one, you need to go out to unemployment.ohio.gov and report it as it was a fraudulent unemployment claim made on your behalf. You should inform your employers. They need to do something also. But then number two, you need to go out, put an alert on with one of the credit bureaus, because obviously people have your personal information.
Yeah.
But then comes to, how do I do a tax return? I have a 1099-G that's reported under my Social Security number. That is not really taxable income to me. How do you handle that? You need to talk to your tax advisor, make them aware you received a fraudulent 1099-G, and don't report it as income, but make sure that they're aware, because they'll know how to handle it in the return.
Okay, yeah, a very complicated tax season. And then we kind of go back and look at, we're getting more stimulus checks now, but we got a couple of checks last year, and maybe some folks didn't get all of their money, didn't get their checks, and they can do that, they can get that.
Yeah, and the reason people wouldn't have gotten those earlier stimulus checks is the IRS was basing those off of either your 2018 return or your 2019 return. Well, maybe your income was too high in 18 or 19 that you wouldn't have been eligible for this new credit that you're going to be claiming on 2020. So you wouldn't have gotten the advance payment. Or maybe you were claimed as a dependent by your parents. Say you were a student back in 18. You wouldn't have gotten it. But now you're working and you're filing for yourself. So those could be two of the big reasons somebody may not have received the advance payments. The good news is when you file your 2020 return, you're going to be able to claim that on the 2020 return as a recovery rebate credit, and it's a refundable credit, so you'll get the money now. The only difference is you didn't get it earlier, but you'll get it now.
Okay. All right. A lot to consider here for tax season. Charlie, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.